The number of women who opt for a non-hospital birth and without medical assistance is unbelievably on the rise.
It's known as freebirthing, and some doctors are particularly concerned. The maternity charity Birthright suggests that the rise in popularity could be related to concerns that people have around failings within NHS maternity units. To find out more, joining us from Caerphilly in Wales is Samantha Gadsden, who is a doula who supports women giving birth away from traditional hospital settings. And we can also speak to Lizzie Romain, who's a midwife with experience in both the NHS and private sector. Samantha, let's start with you. Thank you so much. I hadn't really heard of this sort of free birthing before. My initial reaction is to think, oh my goodness, that sounds really risky.
Well, so is birthing in the NHS at the moment, isn't it? We have the big birth trauma inquiry that's going on at the moment. We have the stats that say up to 67% of maternity units are failing. So it's for families, they get to choose where they want to take that risk.
That's quite a sweeping description of the NHS. Is that what you're hearing from people, Sam? Is that...
All the time.
That's why people are, choosing to do this?
It's not the only reason. Some people are free birthing because they believe that free birth for them is the right choice and it's completely safe. Other people are free birthing because they're frightened of the NHS. And then other people are free birthing with what I've recently labelled midwife abandoned birth, because they're phoning up in the middle of having a baby and expecting a planned home birth with a midwife, and the midwives are telling them that they're not coming because they have no staff.
Well, I've just had a baby. I've just had a baby, and I'm going to move to our other guest because I would say this. Sorry, my darling, what's your name? The midwife?
Lizzie.
The experience my wife and I had 3 weeks ago was utterly amazing, and I couldn't imagine, having had 6 kids, not doing it without a midwife, who I think actually probably never get the credit that they deserve. Sorry, but I'm going to say that because that's how I see it after what we went through. Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really hard at the moment because obviously you go into being a midwife to deliver the best care that you can, but it is difficult because there is a short staffing issue at the moment, and you know, we're down about 2,500 midwives in the UK. So midwives go in every single shift. We try and do our very best, and we have to look on an individual basis as to every single family and case that we look after, but we do try our best. And it's really awful to see that there is a rise in free birthing. And I do think that it probably could be a pushback on the fact that the NHS and the care that is being given at the moment, there are horror stories out there. There are midwife failings.
Absolutely.
But we're trying to do our best, you know. And
what does a trained midwife? What does a trained midwife, Lizzie? Because I'm really interested in what you make of. I don't know what a doula is. What do you make of free birthing as a midwife and a doula? Help me out. What's your opinion?
Yeah, so we actually quite often have doulas come into the hospital with women, and it's perfectly okay to have an additional birth support partner. Doulas are great, you know, they do have a lot of holistic care that they can offer women, and they almost do, in a way, sometimes plug the shortfall that midwives can't deliver because we are short-staffed. So, you know, I will always look favourably upon doulas and the care that they can give for women. So, yeah, I mean, doulas are great in their own right as well. But the problem is midwifery and childbirth is such a spectrum. And, you know, some people come in and have a really great normal delivery and it's all lovely and hypnobirthing, they're in a birth pool. And as a midwife, you can really just sit on your hands, you can watch, you can observe, you can listen into the baby, check that everything's safe, and then leave it there. And it is very much women-led and women-based. But then occasionally, if something does go wrong, so for example, the baby could develop hypoxia, which is where their brain is deprived of oxygen through the labour and delivery process, then that's when a midwife is meant to step in and obviously put something in place in order to deliver that baby and that mum safely. So that's what we're there for, really.
Lizzie, that's the key thing, isn't it? If something goes wrong, you're in the best, quickest place to get help.
And the problem is, as well, is when something does go wrong...
Hold on a second. Let's bring Sam back in, because Sam is saying that the rise of interest in her is because they're not getting that. Can I just ask you also, this is really important, what's a doula then? Have you got qualifications? What is a doula?
No, I'm a non-medical birth companion, and anybody who hires me knows that I will not be providing any sort of medical care.
So what happens to the husband then, or the boyfriend? Why do they need a woman to stand there with them then? What's happened to the partner?
Because they feel safer, and women birth best where they feel safest.
Yep.
And that can be in hospital.
Yeah.
It's not that everybody should be free birthing. It's about the fact that everybody should have a choice, and they are being let down by the NHS. And it's not the midwives aren't doing their best. There aren't enough of them. If all the people who want a home birth went into hospital, there aren't enough beds, there aren't enough staff, there aren't enough resources, and there aren't enough facilities. So what would we do then? We have women birthing with no beds. We have women birthing in hospital corridors. I've spoken to women who've birthed alone in hospital. I'm at the point where saying everybody should prepare to free birth just in case they're on their own in a hospital, in an induction ward by themselves.
Yeah.
The NHS's chief midwifery officer, we obviously don't have a representative from the NHS here, so I just want to make clear what their point is. Kate Brimworth, the NHS chief midwifery officer, said England was one of the safest places in the world to give birth. And the Minister for Women's Health Strategy, Maria Crawford, said she wanted to reassure mothers and families that maternity care is of the utmost importance to the government. Lizzie, I guess this is an opportunity for you to say, as a midwife, what would make you feel better supported in your ability to do the job, so that women, when they were making their decisions, could have greater confidence in coming to see you.
We just need more staff. It's been clear for ages. We've been trying to push the government to increase staffing. We need more midwives, and it always comes down to the same thing. And it's just such a shame to see my profession just fall by the wayside in the way it has, because people are doing their best, but people are tired. You know, people go in every single day and there's not enough staff. Everyone's stretched really thinly. And the thing is as well, you've got to think, even when the government say that there's more student midwives coming through, these student midwives are seeing these wards in these states.
Ladies, it falls to me. Ladies, it falls to me. I'm so sorry. Would do, wouldn't it? I apologise. We have to leave it there. But fascinating subject. Fascinating to hear. And thank you for coming on. Still to come. That was Lizzie and Samantha. Lots more on Talk Today. We return to our top story.